You know, being a someone who watches the current MCU is equivalent to watching a 10-year-old kid try to put together a Lego set. Now, you're watching them and you know for a fact that they're going to get everything wrong because they just dumped it all out and began to build. Now, there's clearly instructions for them to use in order to build it correctly, but the kid just simply refuses to look at it. So you can't help but stare at the chaos. That's what the current MCU is. I say that because I'm going to talk about Captain America Brave New World, the fourth Captain America movie. Something I didn't even realize. Just to let this be known for future reference, I do not consider Civil War to be a Captain America movie. That movie plays out more like an Iron Man movie, especially considering that he has far more character development in it than Captain America. Hell, Captain America kisses his granddaughter, basically, your grandniece, whatever she was, and that is never brought up again. Regardless of how fucking crazy that was. But that movie was genuinely like an Avengers movie, like an Avengers versus movie, not really a Captain America movie. It was called Captain America, but it wasn't a Captain America movie. Let's get that out of the way. But talking about Captain America Brave New World, here's a quick little summary of it. Thunderbolt Ross is president. Why? How? I don't know. This seems like something that should have been talked about in either their Secret Invasion show or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, just having that in the background. Or he was someone that was promoting the fake Captain America as he was running for presidency, or in any of the multiple shows and movies that they had within the MCU during this weird phase. Could they have had some type of hint that, hey, Ross is running for president, which, could have been a thing, but there's no synergy in all of these movies, so go fuck yourself. Well, Ross is president. Falcon did a thing. He invited the Falcon to the White House. The Falcon was like, I won't go to the White House unless I bring Mini Falcon or Green Falcon along with the black super soldier that's supposed to be the guy that they first tested the Captain America serum on, I guess. Whatever. And so they bring him. Falcon brings him. Some music starts playing. A bunch of people go crazy, including including the black old super soldier. And in which case, he then goes to jail. Now, if you've seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, then you know exactly how much he really, really, really don't like going to jail. So it's a big deal. The Falcon is then trying to prove his innocence by figuring out who exactly mind controlled him and why. And in doing so, he undercovers a plot. Essentially, Ross had secrets and which that's one of the reasons why he became president, and there's other things going on, and the person that he was using in order to help him become president then wants to get revenge by revealing Ross's true nature, and it turns out he basically has been pseudo poisoning him with gamma radiated pills in order to save his life, but at the same time turn him into a Red Hulk, and in which case he's just been trying to do things to make Ross incredibly mad so he can Hulk out, so then the world could condemn him and his actions and everything that he's built up, and use the person that he had kidnapped, build for him, essentially get torn asunder. And then it all comes crashing down because that plan happens, and then Falcon calms him down, and then he puts himself in the raft along with the person that had the plan in the first place, because he just turned himself in, even though he's supposed to be super duper smart, but he just turns himself in, and then the Falcon just, that's it. That's it. That's all that happens. Nothing else happens. Nothing significant happens in this movie. Honestly, considering how I gave the summary, that was a far more coherent concept of the story than what the story actually did. Now, be forewarned, I will only refer to Anthony Mackie as the Falcon in this movie and not Captain America, not under some weird pseudo he ain't Captain America type thing, but because of the fact that the movie itself has him questioning whether or not he's Captain America or he should be Captain America, which is silly considering that if you saw Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he already had that problem, and then he solved that problem That's why the senator had to do better. So now that you have a whole nother movie with him going through the exact same fucking problem, this time without money problems, it just makes things dumber. So much dumber. So this movie did things in order to try and reveal and showcase stuff, because I should let everyone understand this right off the bat. I mean, I just keep saying that, but it's like just fucking talk. This movie was a bridge movie. It tried to constantly fill in so many plot holes that the MCU has left up in the air over the years, and it just all turns to shit because nothing comes together correctly. It just is. I feel like someone was sitting in a room and they was like, "Oh, remember that? Oh, remember that? Oh, remember that?" And then they just kept writing shit down, and it was like, yes, yes, and more yes. Even though for years people have been talking about this goofy shit that they basically have just never addressed. And instead of it actually being done in a very interesting and coherent way, you just got this gobbledygook thrown into a Captain America movie, which honestly didn't even need all of this bullshit in the first place. And to which case, all they did was rehash the same story elements that they have used time and time again. Mind control. These motherfuckers can't get enough of their mind control. They keep using mind control. It's stupid now. It's been used more than the multiverse concept. So stop doing it. Seriously. Hell, they even have an ex-Black Widow in this. And then it's like, well, and you're doing with mind control? Jesus Christ. Like, and then how do they get rid of the mind control? They just do. They just do. Is it break your nose so you can't smell? No, stupid. No, it's I'ma hack it. And it's a mind control that's triggered by a song, and a guy just hacks it, and then he hacked it. He hacked the trigger, and then it just don't work no more on new people. But if you already been mind controlled, then nothing you can do about it. This is so dumb. See, the thing is that this Captain America movie is not a good movie. That being said, it's not a terrible movie that's unwatchable. And I need to be very careful when I talk about that, because it's very apparent to me, because of the fact that when I sat down and watched the movie, I knew what I was looking at was incredibly dumb. I knew what I was looking at didn't make any sense. The different plot holes, the different plot devices, the fucking plot armor, all the different weird inconsistencies, characters jumping from one place to another with like no time being done. Hell, there's literally a part where Anthony Mackie is just sitting on a bench, and then the hero walks up to him and turns himself in for some reason. And then the movie keeps going after that. He's not in his suit. He's not waiting for him. No one deduced anything. He's just sitting on the bench out of nowhere. He was in the middle, like shit is going on. Things are supposed to be happening, but they was like, what would he be doing right now? Sitting on the bench. And the movie put him there. Whatever. And all of that is in that movie, and it is loud and just in your face, and it's just so stupid, and it just drags on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. But I didn't mind watching it. How dare you, Daniel? Yes, I know. Ultra critic. The problem with this movie is the fact that it's not an unwatchable movie. It's terrible. It's dumb and it's bad. Yes, it's really bad. It is not a good movie, but it's not unwatchable. And I believe that it basically is one of the saving graces behind it, because you have just a huge waterfall of fucking MCU titles that are just basically things that anyone and everyone would just roll their eyes at, because it's like, why would I even want to watch that? The Marvels, the fucking She-Hulk, you got WandaVision, I'm naming shows, Ant-Man, Quantumanium, so many things where like just certain aspects of it immediately, just right off the bat, make the movie or the show just something that's like, ugh, I don't want to watch this. I don't need to watch this, but it might be important because something might happen. And I lead you back to the Lego thing. Realistically, once they finish building that Lego piece, will it matter? Fuck no. Because they're going to do another one. They're not going to connect it correctly. So fuck it. Why are you watching this? There's other shit to do. And that's essentially what's going on with this movie. And it's like, is this gonna matter or connect to anything that's congruent? Is it even gonna have anything special about it? Absolutely not. I feel as if, considering the massive amounts of reshoots and what it is that they did with marketing, the Red Hulk concept within this movie was probably supposed to be a secret. It probably was something that they wanted to be a huge surprise at the end of the movie, but because of what they were getting in terms of overall excitement and hype for this movie, just having Anthony Mackie as Captain America alone wasn't doing it. So the idea of him fighting a Red Hulk, let's promote that. So the Red Hulk is in the movie for like 5 minutes, because it only happens at the end. How hard would it have been to, and again, another issue with Marvel is that fucking hindsight. Yeah, but how hard would it have been to have the Red Hulk go around doing shit because he was under the control of the hero, but he was under the control of the hero, running around doing crazy random shit. Ross essentially was like, this is all you superhero people's fault, you're messing up stuff. He have a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type situation going on where he doesn't realize he's actually the Red Hulk doing all these things. Now, yeah, it'd be an issue and difficult to be like, well, how the president just disappear, no one notices, and then the Red Hulk appears and wrecks some shit. Yeah, whatever. I'm just giving an example. I'm not about to break it down exactly into the science behind it that would make it work. I'm just giving another example. You could have did so many things, but it's like you wanted to copy essentially two different movies. One that's not even an MCU movie, and another one that essentially is is one of the better MCU movies that exist. One, the better one is basically the Winter Soldier, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and the other one is the Incredible Hulk movie. Now, this movie itself plays as if it's both of those movies mashed together. You make Hulk, Red Hulk, and for some reason your idea of spy and espionage and big dealing government entities that essentially are a threat towards America or needing Captain America to intervene in order to accomplish something with this pseudo idea of revenge or taking control and shit like that. None of that gets into play. It's just all face value bullshit. So nothing significant, like I said, nothing significant happens, nothing important happens. It's just really, really, really fucking goofy. It's hard to talk about this. It's really hard to talk about this. I say all that I say because of the fact that I am noticing that a lot of people are talking about this movie and are getting just very, very small, weird inconsistencies wrong, or their genuine distaste or the stuff that they don't like about this movie, or snippets and ideologies that they are putting together just completely going off the rails. This movie has politics in it. The movie is not political. There is a huge fucking difference behind what it is that I just said. There is politics in this movie, but the movie itself is not political. It is similar to what the X-Men were in their inception. Stan Lee said multiple times it had nothing to do with the Civil Rights Movement. X-Men had nothing to do with the Civil Rights Movement. Yet people related to the Civil Rights Movement because of what the X-Men were going through. But that was one of the beauties of the Marvel comics, was that they were so relatable. Again, why Spider-Man is great. He's the most relatable superhero. But it's not as if just because something happens to come out that has political talk, jargon, and things like that being thrown at it means that it has to be a perfect mirror representation of our world and how we're handling politics. Fuck, even a Critical Drinker basically commented on the fact that Japanese military is a big deal within this movie, and that is a laughable fact when you consider the fact that essentially China would be far more prevalent as an entity that should be feared in terms of challenging military might against America. But what the good critical drinker didn't do is talk about the fact that this isn't fucking the real world. This is a world in which the Avengers have happened, Sokovia has happened, Ultron has happened, the Thanos has happened. Who the fuck knows what the turnout of the world government has turned into, who got what military might. Remember how in Black Panther 2, France was the one who tried to take weapons from Wakanda? Remember that? When he invaded a Wakandan lab? France, of all places? Like, Jesus Christ, this shit ain't running the same. So it makes no sense to basically make those judgments or to make those statements, considering that this is not the real world. It is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is a fabrication. So to be upset at that fact or to critically criticize this movie on that fact is silly, because it ain't functioning the same. This shit ain't well written. It's not well written. Just admit that. But to sit there and go off the rails on that aspect, it's like, no, there have been way too many things happening within these movies that essentially would make you just disavow any type of notion that, well, this obviously needs to make sense at being coherent with the real world. And it's like, well, if you was to use the logic or the mentality of essentially where the comics came from, then everything that they do should basically be against Russia and whatnot. And it's like, hell, they were able to make a super soldier. That's who the Red Guardian is, but for some reason they just never kept up with it. They slept on it or some shit. I don't know. It's not. It ain't quite right curl. Yeah, the curl don't curl all the way around. So if they sit there and tell you that Japan is a powerhouse within their world, well, you gotta accept it. It's stupid. It was like, there's no base behind it. They don't explain anything. But remember what you're looking at. They don't explain shit. Not once in this entire movie did they ever bring up anything about the Red Hulk's condition and what the fuck was up with the whole burning thing. That's some shit that if you know who the Red Hulk is, then you would automatically know. But the movie, this is its first iteration and concept of this character. Hell, Red Hulk is capable of speaking, yet none of that is implemented in this movie. So why were things burning? Well, if you read the comics and you know, yeah, but in the comics he talks. In the comics, there was a mystery behind who the Red Hulk was, because he was someone that basically was able to use their brain. It wasn't Bruce Banner. No one understood where he came from or what he was doing. And he was going around fucking shit up. Hell, the dude put a Celestial on his back. But you didn't know who he was, and it was a very intriguing and interesting concept. Only then for it to get revealed that it was Ross, and then you had it that also moment, because yeah, it made sense, and essentially Ross was able to finally showcase what it is that he has had an issue with when it came to the Hulk. And it was like, he was jealous. All that power, all that strength, energy, and shit like that. And it was like, yeah, that's what he wanted. So then when he becomes the Red Hulk, he's this arrogant douchebag asshole, because that's who the fuck Ross is. Which leads me to another problem with this movie and the people who've been talking about it. For the love of God, Ross is not an allegory for Trump. He is not a representation of Trump. Ross is being Ross. It's like, he is a dick. He's a villain character. He's not a good guy. He's not someone you sympathize with. He's a douchebag. The man kidnapped and had someone in prison so he could essentially utilize his intelligence to help him become president. And then he used that same person to essentially help fix him when he was dying. And then he basically dangled his own freedom in his face in order to keep him alive. And the consequences that he faces for that is that this fool gets turned into a Hulk. But now the movie should have essentially dove into Ross not liking the aspect that he got basically monsterized or anything like that, or that he essentially feels that like all that he's done because he hated superheroes and superpower people and whatnot, that being forced to turn into something like this just disgusts him and just makes him distraught. Hell, the hero could have did something to Betty, considering that a majority of everything that Ross was doing, and what I thought the movie, like the obvious conclusion of him constantly talking and bringing her up, and how everything he was doing was so she could eventually forgive and talk to him because of how he's been and what he's been doing, that would have been the hero's main objective, that I'm doing all of this in order to bring Betty out, and then once I get Betty out, I'm a killer. Or have him be like, nah, remember, she was nice, so I'm not gonna do anything to her, but for you, I'm just gonna do everything I can to fuck you up. But I didn't do that, because it's poorly written. It's so poorly written. But Ross is a terrible person. He's not an allegory for Trump. There's like nothing that he does within the movie is something that's like far-fetched, or me being looking at it and thinking, oh yeah, this is totally like what's happening with Republicans and the current president. Shit like, no, and it's like everything was plausible in terms of this is what Ross would do. It's a dumbass, boneheaded, stupid move. But that's what Ross would do. That's the dude who tried to get them to sign the Sokovia Accords, which led to the Civil War. Remember that? It's the same dude who supposedly is coming from the Incredible Hulk movie that essentially was able to take a military force, charge at Banner in broad fucking daylight at a goddamn university just cuz. It's like, yeah, Ross. And then the movie showcases and lets you know multiple times through multiple characters, he ain't changed. So many people said that throughout the entire movie. He has not changed. He keeps saying that he's trying to change, but he has not changed. And I do like the fact that essentially the Falcon was the only person that was someone that at the end of the movie was able to basically convey. He was like, I believe you're trying to change. I do believe that. They're like, you still ain't changed, but you're trying to. You really are, but you haven't, because you're Ross. And there's like, and that essentially is just like one of the many other things going on within this movie, where it's like, yeah, a lot of people are picking this apart and they're cherry picking certain aspects of it, and then they're just going off the rails based off of just other weird inconsistencies to judge this movie based off of. Oh, they're talking about the current government administration or shit like that, or they're not doing this within the MCU, where they're following this characters this way, or they're following these people wouldn't be able to do this, these people that fuck. Ross was trying to get the little treaty thing signed, and the two countries that he had up, it was like, why the fuck would he be talking to them? And immediately when I thought that, and they were like, if Japan isn't involved, then we're not involved, I was like, oh, pissing in the wind. I was like, so they just made up whatever the fuck they want. I was like, okay, yeah, it's just like with Black Panther. I was like, yeah, because in Black Panther, the mom, being the queen of Wakanda, was basically answering to countries that she doesn't need to answer to, only then for these motherfuckers to essentially try and attack them. And then her plan was just, we're gonna close off the border still. Alright, whatever. Only then for other shit to happen within their technology, and essentially it makes it seem as if the Wakanda technology ain't all that impressive anymore. Like I said, that motherfucker is building these Legos without looking at the instructions. I got the instructions in my hand. I'm telling you, you can follow this step by step to get what you want, but instead you just keep shaking your head. Nah. And the only problem is that once they finish making whatever they want to make out of these Legos, to finish the analogy, when they're done and they go into the other room to show everyone else is gonna hoop and holler and clap at the monstrosity that they see in front of them. Why? Because they don't know what the fuck Legos are. That's a perfect analogy of this bullshit. Because now you're basically faced with this fact that this movie isn't doing terribly. It's actually doing okay. It might just break even, and considering like what they could have possibly spent on it, that's a big fucking deal. But it's even more of a big deal considering that a majority of people were basically sharing and quoting and just going off the rails. Look at what the predictions of the box office take for this movie is gonna be. Oh, it's gonna bomb. It's gonna bomb. And the actual opening weekend, it actually did pretty good. That's scary. It's scary for a lot of reasons. The main reason that it's fucking scary is because it shows exactly how out of touch everybody is. Not one side of the coin, every fucking body. You got basically a bunch of the hardcore back nerds that essentially are looking at this shit and calling it out for what it is, for being a clusterfuck of ideas that have no synergy and are just everywhere doing anything and everything and essentially just sticking to their guns of being as gay as possible. Ugh. It's like, and then the other side of the coin, you got shills that essentially hoop and holler to copy myself, to hoop and holler at any and everything that they see, and they're just willing to toss money at it for no apparent reason other than the fact that it exists. So there you go. I would say take note or look up however many people you want to that have reacted to the Fantastic Four trailer, and it made it seem as if this movie was going to be the thing that might save the MCU. Go fuck yourself if you actually think that that's a possibility, or that this movie ain't gonna be a piece of shit, considering the fact that no one knows how to handle the Fantastic Four characters correctly. They haven't before, and I for damn sure know they ain't gonna do it now. This movie has already announced that Silver Surfer is going to be played by a girl. What the fuck makes you think this is going to do anything? Like, this is going to do well, or it's going to be what it needs to be in order for these things to actually have purpose? God damn it. Well, the things CGI look good. No, it didn't. He actually looks bad. His eyes had an uncanny valley effect. I'll give you that. But he looked weird. It wasn't the greatest CGI. It wasn't good CGI. It was okay. It was okay MCU CGI. But I got another video going up for the Fantastic Four. I need to calm the fuck down. But the fact of the matter is that essentially you have way too many people essentially missing the mark when it comes to looking at these fucking movies. I wish Disney was essentially smart and hunker down and talk to some of these entities of people that essentially know the content, know the lore, know the characters, and are willing to sit down with them and talk and get these fucking movies out correctly. Or to sit there and have a detailed plan going forward behind what movie's going to do what, who's going to cover who, how they're going to implement and introduce and carry over everything. The biggest thing that this movie did, which made everyone lose their fucking mind, was that they mentioned adamantium. As stupid as that sounds for someone who knows anything about Marvel, for whatever reason, the outside world, shills and normies, this was a big fucking deal only because adamantium is reference to the metal that Wolverine uses. But in this movie, they state that it was essentially stronger and more valuable than vibranium. Vibranium is stronger than adamantium. Adamantium, like Wolverine claws, can't cut Captain America's shield. But if you go by the rules that this movie has just set forth, then Wolverine would kill Captain America. Fuck, this is so stupid. Oh man. And then you just, again, like I said, you have people who are excited about just hearing this. They don't give a fuck about the context that it comes into or that what's happening. They're just, yeah, fuck. I thought they were going to introduce the leader of all people. They used the guy from the Incredible Hulk to come back. I thought he was going to be the leader. Oh shit, that would have been so interesting. That could have did so much with Hulk and trying to bring something together, as well as having a villain be a fucking villain, an actual threat that's still around doing shit, a mastermind that's smarter than a lot of the characters that you got going forward within the MCU. Did they make him the leader? No, they made him the hero. And he turned himself in. And he just in jail now. He wasn't obsessed with getting Hulk's power. Hell, his brain wasn't even really sticking out like that. He looked like a fucked up mutant. His eye was all messed up and everything. It was terrible. It was just so terrible. And that's what we're working with. That's what we're working with. It's like, yeah, none of that is good. It's not good at all. Like, why? None of that is good. I mean, this movie had a child in it doing grown man shit, talking to someone like the Falcon as if they know better. Hell, they even made him a Black Widow as a child. They even made him a Black Widow. And this child that was a Black Widow was tossing men around like 5 times their size as if the men were made out of paper. Yeah, Black Widows are really good assassins, but I feel like they always just miss what happened on the very first time Black Widow's introduced in Iron Man 2, which is that you just have a character that's supposed to be a femme fatale deadly assassin and then utilize that correctly. The hallway fight scene that she does is the perfect example of why Black Widow was Black Widow. And it's like the shit she do. Hell, the funny pepper spray at the end of the guy's face, and it's like, yeah, people might not like Iron Man 2, but that was a perfect introduction and rendition of her character going forward. It just got weirder. It's like, why are you fighting alongside Hulk? I don't know. But here I am. But it's like, all right, instead of actually utilizing and having a character like that, what are you gonna do? Oh, she's like a super soldier. Do they have a super soldier? No, just a Black Widow. Yeah, Black Widows aren't super strong. What the fuck? Why are we doing this? Well, they were gonna make they're gonna make this child a different character, but then they reneged on it because essentially she would have been too girl bossy, and that's not what people want to see in movies anymore. So they had to scrap that idea. And you can clearly tell a lot of the scenes with her were the reshoots, because there's multiple scenes where she's wearing a superhero getup, but she ain't doing nothing. And it's disturbing whenever you see it, because it's like, oh, you were supposed to have an action scene, weren't you? Too bad. Oh boy. The only positive, the only positive that this movie has, which is something that I will not take away from it whatsoever, is the action scenes. Annex the Red Hulk fight scene. But the action scenes in this movie are phenomenal. Anthony Mackie's use of the shield, far more creative and interesting than anything that they've done with Steve Rogers. I mean, you just got more to work with. Problem is, like a lot of his shit, again, it's like you're a regular guy, but all right, man. But it's like the combination of essentially him being the Falcon and then using the shield different times when he's like flying at crazy speeds, putting the shield in front of him to block off attacks and stuff like that. Pretty cool and interesting stuff. Him, the different ricochets that he's doing, kicking it around, moving and things like that. It just showed a very complex mastery of the shield, but it made it feel as if it was his own because he needed to utilize it more than Captain America would have to because of the fact that he had a lack of super soldier, because he wasn't a super soldier. Now, the movie could have done something to basically explain that. I'm just saying that, but it's like the movie could have explained that or showcased that that's how he felt about something. But again, these are things that could have been highlighted in Falcon and the Winter Soldier but never got the chance, and then this movie basically has the same issue of that being done 1,000%. And it's like, hey, you can explain what the fuck this is, or we can move on to the next scene. God, it's a bad movie. It's like, that's bad storytelling. You're a bad movie. It was like, all right, this character's out. And it was like, you can explain and showcase the significance of this character, or we could move on to the next scene. Fuck. Were these the budget cuts? There's a reason Disney lost 700,000 subscribers on Disney Plus. This shit is, they are not good. They are not good. And I feel that that's the thing that should go for this movie. It is not appropriate to say that this movie is terrible, it's bad, it's unwatchable. No, this is a perfect movie for people who just want to sit down and turn off their fucking brains, because we all know people do that. They're dumb people, but they do that all the time. Sit down, you turn off your brain, you don't need to know shit about the MCU or anything else, because they for damn sure gonna remind you. Again, I got excited when I thought they were gonna introduce the leader, but he turned out to be the hero, so it doesn't even matter. But it is what it is. It was a movie. It ended the way that it ended. It had nothing going for it. The concept was nothing. It solved nothing. It mentioned nothing, and it just happened to be. And so, with that, it's like, hey, that's Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm sorry, Captain America 4, Brave New World. Shit. Oh boy. Yeah. It just. Yeah, like I said, going forward, well, that thing I didn't finish, but yeah, going forward, I think it's appropriate to just say this movie is not good. That should be it. That's as far as that should go. Just refer to it as this movie is not good, but don't go, this movie is terrible. Just, this movie is not good. Do with that what you will, but I know what I'm gonna do. There's been another episode of Phone Flame. I've been your host, Danieltheflame. As always, good people. Hope you have fun.